Admiral Jack Morrison stood at the large window of Earth Defense Station Alpha. Watching the dark space above Earth, the stars looked normal, just like they had for millions of years. But Jack knew something was coming. Something big and dangerous. 3 months ago, Earth's radio telescopes had picked up strange signals from deep space. The signals were not natural. They came from ships. Alien ships. Dr. Marcus Bell and his team had worked day and night to decode the messages. What they found made everyone on Earth very worried. The aliens called themselves the Zephyrian Confederation. They had sent a simple message to Earth. It was not friendly. They wanted all humans to leave Earth and go to special camps on other worlds. They said humans were too dangerous to live free in the galaxy. They had watched Earth's TV shows and radio broadcasts. They saw wars, nuclear weapons, and fighting. This scared them. Jack looked at his watch. It was almost 2 in the afternoon. According to their calculations, the alien fleet would arrive any minute now. He turned to Commander Lisa Bennett, who was sitting at the main computer station. "Any sign of them yet, Lisa?" Jack asked. Lisa shook her head. "Nothing on the long-range scanners, sir. But if Dr. Bell's math is right, they should be here very soon." Captain Ryan Hughes walked into the command center. He looked worried. "Sir, all planetary defense systems are ready. Every major city has its shields up. All military bases are on high alert." Jack nodded. "Good. How did the meeting with President Clark go?" Ryan smiled a little. "She told the aliens exactly what we discussed. Ambassador Kevin Parker delivered the message yesterday. Very polite, very diplomatic. We thanked them for their concern, but said no thank you to their kind offer." "I bet they didn't like that," Lisa said. "No, they did not," Jack replied. "Intelligence says they're bringing 800 ships. That's more than they used to conquer the last 3 planets they took over." The Zephyrians had been very busy for the past 100 years. They had attacked and conquered 17 different worlds. Each time they used the same plan. They would study a planet from far away, learn about the people living there, then show up with a huge fleet and demand surrender. Most planets gave up without a fight. The few that fought back were destroyed quickly. But Earth was different. The aliens had been watching Earth's broadcasts for years. They saw humans fighting wars, building nuclear weapons, and destroying their own environment. To them, humans looked like a violent, chaotic species that could not control itself. They thought humans were too primitive and dangerous to be allowed to travel to other planets. What the aliens did not know was that humans had been preparing for this day. Since the first alien signals were detected, President Amanda Clark had done something that had never happened before in human history. She had united every nation on Earth against a common enemy. "Contact!" Lisa suddenly shouted. "Multiple ships dropping out of hyperspace, sir. There are a lot of them." Jack looked out the window and saw lights appearing in space. Hundreds of lights. The alien fleet was arriving. The ships were beautiful in a scary way. They looked like they were made of crystal and metal, shining with their own light. "Count them?" Jack ordered. "Still counting, sir. So far I have 400. 500. 600. Lisa's voice got quieter as the numbers grew. "Sir, final count is 812 ships. They're forming into attack formation." Captain Danny Walsh's voice came over the radio from his ship, the USS Defiance. "Control, this is Defiance. We can see them from here. They're beautiful, but they're definitely not here for a friendly visit." Jack picked up the radio. "Danny, are you and your people ready?" "Ready as we'll ever be, Jack. All ships are in position. We're just waiting for your signal." The alien fleet arranged itself in a perfect formation above Earth. Their ships were much larger than anything humans had built. The smallest alien ship was twice the size of Earth's biggest warship. The largest alien ship was like a floating city, covered in weapons and shields. Dr. Elizabeth Kane, who was in charge of communications, received a message from the aliens. "Sir, they're sending us another message. It's from someone called War Commander Zelthari." "Put it on the main screen," Jack said. The screen showed an alien that looked like it was made of living crystal. It had multiple eyes and moved in a way that seemed both graceful and threatening. When it spoke, the words came out in perfect English. "Humans of Earth, the alien said. I am War Commander Zelthari of the Zephyrian Confederation. You have refused our generous offer to relocate to safe worlds where you cannot harm others or yourselves. This is unfortunate. We have studied your species for many years. You are violent, unpredictable, and dangerous. You build weapons that can destroy entire planets. You fight wars over small pieces of land. You poison your own air and water. You cannot be trusted with the freedom to travel among the stars. The alien paused and seemed to look directly at Jack through the screen. We have conquered 17 worlds. Some surrendered peacefully and their people now live happy, safe lives under our protection. Others chose to fight and were destroyed. We do not wish to destroy you, but we will if we must. You have 1 hour to begin evacuation procedures. Any resistance will be met with overwhelming force. The message ended and the screen went black. Well, that was friendly, Ryan said. Jack looked around the command center. Every person there was someone he had worked with for years. Lisa had been his second in command for 5 years. Ryan had saved his life twice during the Mars Colony Wars. Danny Walsh had been his best friend since they were children. These people trusted him to make the right decision. Lisa, send a message to all stations. Tell them to prepare for Protocol 7. Protocol 7 was the plan they had been working on for months. It was humanity's response to exactly this situation. Every major military leader on Earth knew about it. Every nation had agreed to it. Every soldier, pilot, and ship captain had trained for it. Sir, Lisa said, are you sure about this? 800 ships is a lot. Maybe we should try to negotiate more, Jack shook his head. They're not here to negotiate. They're here to conquer. They think we're too primitive and violent to be free. They think we'll just roll over and give up like the other 17 worlds they've taken. He looked out at the alien fleet again. They're about to learn something very important about humans. We don't roll over. We don't give up. And we definitely don't like being told what to do by anyone, especially not by aliens who think they know what's best for us. Jack walked to his command chair and sat down. All stations, this is Admiral Morrison. In 57 minutes, those aliens are going to start shooting at us. They think this will be easy. They think we're just another primitive planet that will surrender after the first attack. They're wrong. He took a deep breath. Every person on this station, every pilot in our fleet, every soldier on every base has trained for this day. We knew someday we might have to fight for our freedom. That day is today. We're not fighting for territory or resources or politics. We're fighting for the right to exist as free human beings. The alien fleet was moving into final attack position. War Commander Zelthari was probably giving orders to his captains. Confident that this would be another easy victory, Jack smiled. They have no idea what they're about to face. The first alien weapon hit Earth Defense Station Beta at exactly 2 o'clock. The bright blue energy beam punched through the station's shields like they were made of paper. Captain Danny Walsh watched from his ship as the station exploded in. A ball of fire and metal. This is it, Danny said into his radio. All ships, this is Captain Walsh. Protocol 7 is now active. Repeat, Protocol 7 is now active. Across Earth, the message went out instantly. Every military base, every government building, every hidden facility received the same signal. For the first time in human history, every nation on Earth was fighting together as one people. General Patricia Stone sat in her command center deep inside a mountain in Colorado. She had been waiting for this moment for months. Around her, hundreds of people worked at computer screens, coordinating Earth's defense. She picked up a red phone that connected her directly to every world leader. This is General Stone. The attack has begun. All military forces are now under unified command. Every country, every army, every navy, every air force is now working. Together, we are no longer Americans, Russians, Chinese, or British. We are humans and we are fighting for our home. President Amanda Clark was in a secure bunker under the White House. She had already signed the orders that would change everything. General Stone, you have full authority. Do whatever it takes. Dr. Marcus Bell was at the Quantum Communication Center in Nevada. He pressed a button that activated a secret network that had been built over the past 6 months. Instantly, every human military installation in the solar system was connected. Not just on Earth, but on the Moon, Mars, the asteroid belt, and the moons of Jupiter and Saturn. The aliens had studied Earth's broadcasts, but they had only seen what humans wanted them to see. They knew about Earth's cities, armies, and weapons, but they did not know about the secret bases that had been built in space. They did not know about the ships that had been hidden in asteroid fields. They did not know about the weapons that had been placed on the dark side of the moon. War Commander Zelthari stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching his fleet attack the primitive planet below. His first wave of ships had destroyed several orbital stations. The humans were firing back, but their weapons were weak. Energy shields easily stopped most of their attacks. "War Commander," one of his officers said, "the humans are sending us a message." "Put it on screen," Zelthari ordered. Admiral Jack Morrison appeared on the screen. He was still in his command center, even though explosions were going off all around him. "War Commander Zelthari, this is Admiral Morrison of the Earth Defense Force. You have just made the biggest mistake in your species' history," Zelthari laughed. "Admiral, your orbital stations are destroyed. Your cities are defenseless. Surrender now, and your people will be treated well." Jack smiled. "You think you're fighting the Earth Defense Force? You're wrong. You're fighting humanity, and you have no idea what that means." The screen went black. Zelthari turned to his weapons officer. "Destroy their remaining stations. Begin bombing their major cities. They will surrender quickly." But something strange was happening. New ships were appearing on his sensors. Ships that had not been there before. They were coming from everywhere. From behind the moon, from the asteroid belt, from the outer planets. How was this possible? Colonel Steve Martinez was commanding a squadron of ships that had been hidden in the asteroid belt for 3 months. His pilots had been living in secret. Bases carved out of large rocks waiting for this day. Now they were flying toward the alien fleet at full speed. "Remember your training," Steve said to his pilots. "Their shields stop energy weapons, but they've never seen kinetic weapons like ours. We're going to hit them with solid metal moving at incredible speed. Their shields won't know what to do." Lieutenant Commander Amy Davis was leading another squadron from a base on the far side of the moon. Her ships were smaller and faster than anything the aliens had ever fought. They used rail guns that fired metal projectiles at nearly the speed of light. "Amy, to all ships," she said. "We've been studying their formation for months. They always put their command ships in the center, protected by smaller ships. We're going to punch right through their defenses and hit them where they least expect it." The aliens had conquered 17 worlds, but every one of those worlds had fought the same way. They used energy weapons and predictable tactics. They formed their ships in neat formations and fought like it was a chess game. But humans had spent thousands of years learning how to fight wars. They knew that the best way to win was to do something the enemy did not expect. Major Helen Carter was commanding a group of stealth ships that the aliens could not see on their sensors. These ships had been designed specifically to fight aliens. They were painted black, ran silent, and could hide among space debris. Helen had been a fighter pilot in 3 different wars on Earth. She knew how to use surprise as a weapon. "Helen, to Ghost Squadron," she said. "We're going to hit them from behind while they're focused on the frontal attack. Stay quiet until you're right on top of them, then hit them with everything you've got." Commander Greg Powell was on Lunar Base 7 on the far side of the moon. He had 50 nuclear missiles that had been modified with special guidance systems. These were not the old nuclear weapons that the aliens had seen in Earth's broadcasts. These were new, smart weapons that could change course and hide from enemy sensors. "Greg to Missile Command," he said. "Launch all birds. Make them look like space junk until the last second, then light them up. Let's see how their shields handle a nuclear explosion at close range." Captain Nicole Brooks was defending the remaining orbital platforms around Earth. Her job was to keep the aliens busy while the hidden fleets moved into position. She had studied every alien battle for months, learning their tactics and finding their weaknesses. "Nicole to all platforms," she said. "Use the debris from the destroyed stations as cover. Make them think we're weaker than we are. Keep their attention focused on Earth while our real forces get ready to hit them." Dr. Elizabeth Kane was in charge of psychological warfare. She had been studying alien communications and had found a way to break into their radio channels. She began broadcasting human music and video directly to the alien ships. But not just any music and video. She chose recordings that showed humanity at its strongest. The aliens heard recordings of human soldiers singing while marching into battle. They saw videos of humans rebuilding cities after earthquakes and floods. They watched footage of humans working together to solve impossible problems. The aliens had expected to find a chaotic, divided species. Instead, they were seeing something that terrified them, a species that became stronger when faced with danger. War Commander Zalthari was starting to worry. His sensors were showing human ships appearing everywhere. Ships that should not exist. Weapons that should not work. And the humans were not fighting like any species he had ever encountered. "War Commander," his tactical officer said, "we're detecting over 200 human ships approaching from multiple directions. Our initial intelligence was wrong. They have a much larger fleet than we thought. How is this possible?" Zalthari demanded. "Our scouts have been watching this system for years. We know exactly what they have." "Sir, it appears they have been hiding ships throughout their solar system. They have bases on multiple worlds and moons. This is not just Earth defending itself. This is their entire civilization fighting as one unit." Zalthari realized he had made a terrible mistake. He had thought he was attacking a single planet with a few orbital defenses. Instead, he was fighting an entire solar system that had been preparing for war. The humans had turned their whole star system into one giant military base. "Sir," another officer reported, "we're also detecting some kind of electronic warfare. They're broadcasting directly into our communication systems. It's affecting crew morale." The truth was becoming clear. The aliens had studied human broadcasts and seen wars, violence, and conflict. They thought this made humans weak and chaotic. But they had misunderstood completely. All those wars had taught humans how to fight. All that conflict had made them stronger. All those weapons had prepared them for this exact moment. The battle was just beginning, and already the aliens were learning a terrible lesson: never attack. A species that has spent its entire history learning how to survive. At exactly 2:03 in the afternoon, Major Helen Carter's stealth fighters reached the back of the alien fleet. The aliens had no idea they were coming. Helen's ships had been flying dark and silent, hiding among the pieces of destroyed space stations. "Ghost Squadron, this is Ghost Leader," Helen whispered into her radio. "We are in position behind their command ships. Remember, aim for their engines and communication arrays. We want to cut off their head from their body." Helen's fighter was armed with rail guns that fired solid metal bullets at incredible speed. The aliens had never seen weapons like these before. Their energy shields were designed to stop laser beams and plasma bolts, not chunks of metal moving at nearly the speed of light. "Ghost Leader to all units. Fire on my mark. 3. Mark. 20 stealth fighters opened fire at the same time. The metal projectiles punched through alien hulls like they were made of thin paper. 3 alien command ships exploded instantly. 2 more lost their engines and began spinning out of control. War Commander Zalthari felt his flagship shake as something hit it hard. Alarms started going off everywhere. "Report," he shouted. "Sir, we're under attack from behind. Unknown weapons have penetrated our rear defenses. We've lost contact with 3 command vessels," his tactical officer reported. "Impossible. Our sensors show nothing back there. Sir, the humans appear to have stealth technology we didn't know about. And their weapons, they're using kinetic projectiles instead of energy weapons. Our shields can't stop them." At the same time, Commander Greg Powell's nuclear missiles were approaching the alien fleet from 6 different directions. The missiles had been programmed to look like space debris on alien sensors. They moved slowly and quietly, just like floating pieces of rock and metal. "Greg to missile command," he said from his base on the moon. "All birds are in position. Detonating in 10 seconds. Everyone hold on to something." The missiles activated the nuclear warheads when they were less than a mile from the alien ships. The explosions were not designed to destroy the ships directly. Instead, they created massive electromagnetic pulses that fried alien electronics and communication systems. Suddenly, half the alien fleet went dark. Their lights went out, their engines stopped, and their weapons powered down. Ships that had been moving in perfect formation began drifting helplessly through space. Lieutenant Commander Amy Davis chose that exact moment to attack with her fast fighters. Her squadron came screaming in from the direction of Mars, moving faster than anything the aliens had ever seen. Amy to Lightning Squadron. The EMP worked perfectly. Half their fleet is sitting dead in space. Let's finish what the nukes started. Target the ships that still have power. Amy's fighters were armed with the most advanced railguns humanity had ever built. Each gun could fire 100 rounds per minute, and each round could punch through 3 feet of alien armor. The aliens tried to return fire, but their remaining ships were in chaos. Without their command vessels, individual captains didn't know what to do. Some tried to retreat, others tried to attack, and many just sat there trying to figure out what was happening. Captain Nicole Brooks coordinated the defense of Earth's orbital platforms. She had been watching the battle unfold and knew exactly when to make her move. Nicole to all platforms. The alien fleet is breaking apart. Focus all fire on their largest remaining ships. Don't let any of them escape to regroup. The orbital platforms had been designed to look weak and primitive to alien observers, but they were actually armed with some of humanity's most powerful weapons. Energy cannons that had been hidden inside fake communication arrays began firing. At full power, Colonel Steve Martinez led his asteroid belt squadron into the heart of the alien formation. His ships had been built specifically for this battle, designed to be tough and heavily armed. Steve to Rock Squadron. We're going right through the middle of them. Their formation is falling apart. Hit everything that moves and don't stop until they're all down. The alien ships have been arranged in a perfect military formation, each ship knowing exactly where every other ship was supposed to be, but the human attacks had destroyed that formation. Now alien ships were scattered across thousands of miles of space, many of them drifting helplessly. Dr. Elizabeth Kane continued her psychological warfare broadcast. She had broken into the alien communication system and was sending messages directly to alien crew members. "Attention Zephyrian forces," she said in their own language. "You came here thinking humans were primitive and violent. You were half right. We are violent when we need to be. But we are not primitive. Every war you saw in our broadcast taught us something new. Every weapon you saw was just practice for this moment." She switched to showing videos of human engineering projects. Cities built in impossible places, machines that could work in the deepest oceans and the coldest parts of space, and weapons that could destroy entire mountains. "You studied our conflicts and thought they made us weak," Elizabeth continued. "But those conflicts made us the most dangerous species in the galaxy. We don't just fight wars. We learn from them, and we just learned how to fight you." War Commander Zelthari was trying to regain control of his fleet, but it was hopeless. More than half his ships were either destroyed or disabled. The remaining ships were scattered and couldn't communicate with each other. "Sir," his communication officer sighed, "we're receiving surrender requests from 18 of our captains. They want permission to withdraw from the battle." "Denied," Zelthari shouted. "We are the Zephyrian Confederation. We have never been defeated by a primitive species." But even as he said it, he knew they were losing. The humans were fighting like nothing he had ever seen before. They attacked from every direction at once. They used weapons that didn't make sense. They coordinated their attacks perfectly, even though their ships were spread across the entire solar system. At 2:08, just 8 minutes after the battle began, Major Helen Carter made another attack run on the alien flagship. This time she wasn't trying to disable it, she was trying to capture it. Ghost Leader to Admiral Morrison. The alien command ship is wounded but still fighting. Request permission to board and capture their commander. Jack Morrison's voice came back immediately. Permission granted, Helen, but be careful. We don't know what kind of defenses they have inside their ships. Helen's fighter docked with the alien flagship through a hole that had been blown in its hull. She and 5 other Marines entered the ship wearing full combat gear. The aliens inside were not prepared for human soldiers. The humans moved through the ship quickly and quietly. They had studied alien ship designs for months and knew exactly where the command center would be. The alien crew tried to stop them, but human weapons worked just as well inside ships as they did in space. Within 5 minutes, Helen and her team had reached the command center. War Commander Zelthari was still trying to coordinate his failing battle when human soldiers burst through the door. War Commander Zelthari, Helen said, pointing her weapon at him. By the authority of the Earth Defense Force, I am placing you under arrest. Order your remaining ships to surrender immediately. Zelthari looked around his command center. Half his officers were unconscious or wounded. His ship was barely functional. Through the windows he could see his once mighty fleet scattered and burning. This is impossible, he said. We studied your species for years. You are primitive. You fight among yourselves. You destroy your own planet. Helen smiled behind her helmet. You're right about one thing. We do fight. We fight all the time, and every fight teaches us something new about winning. You just learned what happens when you pick a fight with a species that has been practicing warfare for 10,000 years. At exactly 14 minutes after the battle began, War Commander Zelthari gave the order for all remaining alien ships to surrender. The great Zephyrian fleet, which had conquered 17 worlds, had been completely defeated by the humans they thought were too primitive to fight back. The battle was over. But the galaxy would never be the same again. Across the galaxy, alien species had been watching the battle through their long-range sensors and quantum communication networks. What they saw changed everything they thought they knew about the universe. On the homeworld of the Altarian Republic, High Council leader Vexandra stood in the Great Observation Chamber. Around her, the 12 most powerful leaders of their civilization watched the data streams coming in from the Sol system. The numbers on their screens seemed impossible. Confirm these readings, Vexandra ordered. The Zephyrian fleet numbered 812 ships when they arrived at the human system. Confirmed, High Leader, her military advisor replied. The humans defeated or disabled 731 ships in exactly 14 minutes and 27 seconds. Only 81 Zephyrian ships remain operational, and they have all surrendered. Another council member spoke up. This cannot be correct. The Zephyrians have conquered 17 worlds. They have the most powerful military in this sector of the galaxy. How could a single planet defeat them so quickly? The military advisor pulled up tactical recordings from the battle. High Leader, the humans did not fight like any species we have seen before. They did not meet the Zephyrian fleet in open battle. Instead, they used what appears to be a carefully planned trap that took months or even years to prepare. The recordings showed human ships appearing from every direction at once. Ships hidden in asteroid fields, bases on the dark sides of moons, weapons platforms disguised as communication satellites. The humans had turned their entire solar system into one giant military installation. Look at their coordination, the advisor continued. Ships from Earth, Mars, the asteroid belt, and the outer planets all attacked at exactly the same moment. They have communication systems that allow instant coordination across billions of miles of space, and their weapons. The recordings showed alien ships being torn apart by weapons that moved too fast to see. Energy shields that had protected Zephyrian fleets for a century were useless against solid metal projectiles moving at incredible speeds. On the other side of the galaxy, the Andromedan Empire's military observers were having their own emergency meeting. General Korthat, the Empire's top military strategist, had been studying human warfare since their first radio signals were intercepted. I told the High Command this would happen, Korthat said to his staff. We have been monitoring human broadcasts. For 50 years, what did we see? Constant warfare. Nuclear weapons. Military technology advancing at an incredible rate. But everyone assumed this made them weak and chaotic. One of his junior officers asked, General, how did we misunderstand so badly? Korthat pulled up recordings of human history that their spies had collected. Look at their development. In less than 100 years, they went from flying in primitive aircraft to building cities in space. They went from chemical rockets to faster-than-light communication. They went from fighting with simple bullets to building weapons that can destroy entire fleets. He pointed to a chart showing human technological progress. Every war they fought taught them something new. Every conflict forced them to build better weapons, better defenses, better strategies. While other species were living in peace, humans were learning how to fight and win against impossible odds. Another officer spoke up. But General, their own broadcasters showed them fighting among themselves. How did they suddenly become so unified? Korthat smiled grimly. That is what makes them so dangerous. They can fight each other for years, but the moment an outside threat appears, they become one species with one goal. The Zephyrians thought human conflicts made them weak. Instead, those conflicts made them the most effective military force in the galaxy. Meanwhile, on a neutral trading station near the galactic core, representatives from dozens of species were watching the battle recordings and trying to understand what they meant for the future. Captain Zilanoth of the Centauri Collective had been scheduled to be the Zephyrians' next target. His people had been preparing to surrender without a fight, knowing they had no chance against 800 warships. The humans saved us, he said to the other representatives. If the Zephyrians had conquered Earth, they would have come for US next, but now... He looked at the battle recordings again. Now I think the Zephyrians will not be conquering anyone for a very long time. Ambassador Tellerian from the Vegan Alliance was studying the technical specifications of human weapons. These kinetic weapons are brilliant in their simplicity. We have been building more and more complex energy shields for centuries. But a simple piece of metal moving fast enough will go through any shield ever built. It is not just their weapons, said diplomat Karathan from the Tau Ceti Federation. Look at their tactics. They turned their defensive battle into an offensive trap. They made the Zephyrians think they were attacking a single planet when they were actually walking into an ambush that covered their entire solar system. Back in the Sol system, Captain Michelle Turner was aboard the captured Zephyrian flagship, accepting the formal surrender of War Commander Zelthari. The alien commander sat in his command chair, his crystalline features dim with defeat and confusion. I do not understand, Zelthari said. We studied your species for years. Your broadcasts showed nothing but violence and chaos. We saw you fighting wars over small pieces of land. We saw you building weapons that could destroy your own planet. We thought you were too primitive and dangerous to be allowed among the civilized species of the galaxy. Michelle looked at the alien commander with something that might have been pity. You saw our wars and thought they made us weak. You were wrong. Our wars made us strong. Every battle taught us something new about fighting. Every weapon we built was practice for the day we might have to defend our home. She gestured toward the windows, where the wreckage of the Zephyrian fleet drifted in space. You conquered 17 worlds because those worlds had lived in peace for centuries. They had forgotten how to fight. But Earth has never known true peace. We have been preparing for war our entire history, even when we did not know who we might have to fight. Zeltharius' translator converted his words into English. Your species is an abomination. You celebrate violence. You make weapons for pleasure. You teach your children to fight before they can walk. Michelle shook her head. You still do not understand. We do not celebrate violence. We prepare for it. We do not make weapons for pleasure. We make them to protect our families. We do not teach our children to fight because we want them to hurt others. We teach them to fight so they can defend themselves when someone tries to hurt them. She sat down across from the alien commander. Every species you conquered before us had one thing in common. They had been peaceful for so long that they had forgotten how to defend themselves. When you arrived with your fleets, they had no choice but to surrender or die. But humans remember every war we have ever fought. We remember every lesson we have learned. And we never, ever forget how to defend our home. Admiral Jake Freeman, who had coordinated Earth's defensive preparations, joined the conversation. War Commander, your species made a simple mistake. You assume that because we fight among ourselves, we cannot work together against an outside threat. But human history shows exactly the opposite. The more pressure you put on us, the more united we become. Jake pulled up a holographic display showing human military history. Look at our greatest victories. They always came when we were facing impossible odds against a common enemy. When the survival of our species was threatened, humans stopped fighting each other and started fighting together. Zelthari studied the display, trying to understand. But your own broadcast showed us cities destroyed by nuclear weapons. We saw pollution choking your planet. We saw millions of your people dying in wars. How can you call this strength? Jake smiled. Because we survived all of that. Every disaster made us tougher. Every war taught us how to fight better. Every mistake taught us how to do better next time. You saw our failures and thought they made us weak. But our failures are what made us strong enough to defeat you. The truth was beginning to spread throughout the galaxy. The humans were not the primitive, chaotic species that everyone had thought. They were something far more dangerous. A species that had spent thousands of years learning how to survive, how to fight, and how to win against any enemy that threatened their home. And now the galaxy knew that humanity had arrived among the stars, not as conquered subjects, but as equals who would fight to remain free. 3 weeks after the battle, Ambassador Rachel Moore stood in the Great Hall of the Galactic Council on the planet Kepler 442b. She had never imagined she would be in this position. 6 months ago, she had been Earth's ambassador to Mars. Now, she was representing all of humanity to dozens of alien civilizations. The hall was enormous, built to hold representatives from 50 different species. Each species had their own section designed for their particular needs. Some breathed different gases, others needed different gravity, and a few lived in tanks of liquid. But today, all eyes were on the small human section where Rachel stood. Alone. High Counselor Veltar of the Galactic Council called the session to order. He was a tall, thin being with silver skin and 4 arms. His species, the Kelmorians, had founded the Council 300 years ago to keep peace between the star systems. We are here today to address the recent conflict in the Sol system, Veltar announced. The species known as humans has requested to address this council regarding their actions against the Zephyrian Confederation. Rachel stepped forward to the center of the hall. She had practiced this speech 100 times, but her heart was still beating fast. She was not just speaking for Earth, but for all of humanity's future in the galaxy. Honored members of the Galactic Council, she began, I am Ambassador Rachel Moore, representing the people of Earth and all human colonies throughout the Sol system. 3 weeks ago, the Zephyrian Confederation attacked our home system without warning. They demanded that all humans surrender and agree to be relocated to prison camps on distant worlds. She paused and looked around the hall. Some of the alien representatives looked curious, others looked worried, and a few looked afraid. We said no, Rachel continued. We said no because we believe that every intelligent species has the right to live free in their own home. We said no because we will not allow anyone to enslave our people, no matter how powerful they think they are. Ambassador Korthak from the Zephyrian Confederation stood up in his section. He was one of the few Zephyrian diplomats who had not been with the invasion fleet. The humans are dangerous, he shouted. They have weapons that can destroy entire fleets. They turn their whole star system into a military base. They are too violent to be allowed freedom in the galaxy. Rachel looked at him calmly. Ambassador Korthak, your people attacked us with over 800 warships. You came to our home, threatened our families, and demanded we surrender our freedom. What did you expect us to do? Did you think we would just give up? She turned back to address the full council. Yes, we have weapons. Yes, we know how to fight. But we did not attack anyone. We defended ourselves. Every weapon we used, every ship we built, every tactic we employed was for defense of our home. High Counselor Veltar spoke up. Ambassador Moore, the Galactic Council is concerned about humanity's military capabilities. The battle recordings show technology and tactics that are unprecedented. How do we know you will not use these capabilities to attack other species? Rachel smiled. Because that is not who we are. In our entire history, humans have fought many wars, but we have never fought a war to conquer and enslave another species. We fight to defend our homes, our families, and our freedom. We fight because sometimes fighting is the only way to protect what we love. She activated a holographic display that showed images from Earth. This is our home. We have cities, farms, schools, and hospitals. We have children who play in parks and grandparents who tell stories. We have artists who create beautiful things, and scientists who try to understand the universe. This is what we were defending. The display showed more images, humans helping each other during natural disasters, working together to solve problems and celebrating together when they succeeded. The Zephyrian Confederation studied our broadcasts and saw our wars, but they missed the most important thing about humanity. We do not fight because we love violence. We fight because we love peace. We do not build weapons because we want to hurt others. We build weapons because we want to protect the people we care about. Representative Quindala from the Andorian Assembly asked, "But how do we know you will not become conquerors like the Zephyrians?" "You have proven you can defeat any military force in the galaxy," Rachel shook her head. "Because we know what it feels like to be threatened. We know what it feels like to have someone try to take away our freedom. We would never do that to another species because we know how terrible it is." She looked directly at the Zephyrian ambassador. The Zephyrian Confederation has conquered 17 worlds over the past century. They turned millions of intelligent beings into slaves. They destroyed entire civilizations. But after we defeated their fleet, what did we do? Did we attack their homeworlds? Did we enslave their people? Did we demand that they surrender their freedom? The hall was quiet. Everyone knew the answer. No, Rachel continued. We accepted their surrender, we treated their wounded, we returned the surviving ships and crews to their homeworlds. We asked for nothing except that they leave us alone to live in peace. Captain Troy Johnson had arrived at the council station the day before, commanding humanity's newest ship, the USS Resolution. It was not a warship, but a diplomatic vessel designed for peaceful contact with alien species. The ship carried scientists, doctors, teachers, and artists instead of soldiers and weapons. "The humans have sent us a ship," observed Counselor Marbeth from the Tau Ceti Federation. "But it is not a warship. It carries no weapons that we can detect," Rachel nodded. "The USS Resolution represents what humanity truly wants from the galaxy. We want to share our knowledge and learn from yours. We want to trade goods and ideas. We want to explore the universe together and discover new wonders." She paused. "But we also want it to be very clear that we will defend ourselves if anyone tries to attack us or enslave us. The 14 minutes it took us to defeat the Zephyrian fleet was not an accident. It was the result of thousands of years of learning how to survive." General Nancy Wright had been listening to the proceedings from the human section. She stood up when Rachel gestured to her. "General Wright will be establishing the Terran Defense Force's first extrasolar base on New Centauri, a world generously offered to us by the Centauri Collective." Captain Zelenoth from the Centauri Collective stood up. "We offered this world to the humans because they saved us from Zephyrian conquest. We are proud to call them our allies and friends." Other species began to speak up. The Vegan Alliance requested permission to send students to human universities. The Tau Ceti Federation wanted to establish trade agreements. The Andromedan Empire asked if they could send military observers to learn human tactics, but 17 other species that had been planning their own conquest campaigns quietly canceled their military operations. The Rigelian Empire, the Procyon Hegemony, and the Sirius Combine all suddenly discovered that they preferred peaceful expansion to military conquest. Dr. Robert Hayes had spent the 3 weeks since the battle writing his analysis of what had happened. His report was already being studied in military academies across 12 star systems. The humans did not win because they had better technology, he had written. They won because they had better understanding of warfare itself. Every species in the galaxy had been living in peace for so long that they had forgotten the most basic principles of military strategy. But humans had never stopped learning, never stopped preparing, never stopped remembering that sometimes you have to fight to remain free. Rachel concluded her address to the Galactic Council with words that would be remembered for generations. We come to the stars in peace, with open hands and open hearts. We offer friendship to all who offer it to us. We offer our knowledge, our skills, and our help to any species that needs it. She looked around the hall one more time. But we also offer this promise. We will never allow anyone to enslave us, conquer us, or force us to give up our freedom. We have spent our entire history learning how to defend ourselves, and we will use that knowledge whenever we must. The vote was unanimous. Humanity was welcomed into the Galactic Council as a full member species with all the rights and responsibilities that came with it. The war that was supposed to last days had ended in 14 minutes. The peace that followed would last for centuries. And throughout the galaxy the word spread. Humanity had arrived among the stars. Not as subjects, but as equals who would fight to remain free. The age of conquest was over. The age of cooperation had begun.